Picture this. Every single animal on Earth eats its food raw, shivers in the bitter cold, and runs from the dark. Every animal except us. For nearly 2 million years, humans have used fire to cook, stay warm, and conquer the planet. It's the ultimate cheat code of human evolution. But what if I told you that, just a few generations ago, explorers stumbled upon an isolated group of humans who missed the memo entirely? A real-life tribe living deep in the jungle, thriving in the shadows, completely oblivious to the magic of a flickering flame. Grab your survival gear, because today we are diving into the mind-blowing story of the last human tribe that never discovered fire. The dawn of the ultimate cheat code. Before we meet our mysterious tribe, we need to understand just how crazy important fire actually is. Around 2 million years ago, our ancestors Homo erectus figured out how to control fire, and it completely rewired our destiny. Fire wasn't just a cozy luxury, it was an evolutionary rocket booster. It kept terrifying predators at bay during the pitch-black nights, provided a makeshift central heating system for cold climates, and allowed us to migrate out of Africa. Without it, humans were basically just slow, hairless apes with weak teeth. Fire became our shield, our weapon, and our very first technology, separating us from the rest of the animal kingdom forever. Cooking, the brain's secret fuel. But fire's biggest superpower? Cooking raw food takes a massive amount of energy to chew and digest. When early humans started tossing raw meat and tubers into the flames, something magical happened. Cooking essentially predigests food, breaking down tough fibers and releasing a massive wave of easily accessible calories. This sudden calorie surplus did something incredible. It caused our guts to shrink and our brains to absolutely explode in size. Anthropologists argue that without cooked food, the modern human brain physically could not exist. We literally cooked our way to becoming the smartest creatures on Earth. So, how could a human tribe survive without this brain-building hack? Lost worlds, the isolated enigma. To find our fireless humans, we have to travel back in time to the era of global exploration. Imagine a world where dense, uncharted rainforests and remote, cut-off islands acted like biological time capsules. Over thousands of years, rising sea levels and impenetrable terrain trapped small groups of Homo sapiens in total isolation. While the rest of the world was building empires, forging steel, and inventing smartphones, these isolated pockets of humanity remained completely untouched by outside influence. They lived in a parallel reality, adapted perfectly to their specific environments, and carried on secrets of survival that the rest of modern civilization had long forgotten. Meeting the sentinels of the past. Enter the Andaman Islands, a remote archipelago tucked away in the Bay of Bengal. For centuries, rumors swirled about fierce, isolated tribes living deep within these dense, tropical jungles. Among them were the Sentinelese and the Jarawa people. When British explorers and later anthropologists first made contact with these communities in the 19th and 20th centuries, they noticed something truly baffling. Unlike almost every other human society ever recorded, these tribes did not know how to make fire. They were living in a state of nature that left modern scientists rubbing their eyes in absolute disbelief. The baffling science of the fireless. Let's look closer at how this is even possible. When researchers observed these isolated groups, they discovered a nuanced truth. The tribes didn't necessarily lack fire entirely, they just had absolutely no idea how to create it from scratch. If lightning struck a tree and sparked a blaze, they would carefully harvest the embers. But if that precious ember went out, they were completely out of luck. They lacked the friction techniques like rubbing specific sticks together or striking flint stones that the rest of humanity took for granted. They were entirely dependent on nature's unpredictable charity to keep their hearths alive, surviving the pitch-black jungle nights. So, how do you survive a terrifying jungle night when your fire goes out? Without a flame to ward off predators, the nocturnal world becomes a high-stakes horror movie. These tribes developed hyper-acute senses and adapted their sleep schedules to stay safe. They relied on dense, woven shelters and the natural canopy to shield them from elements. Instead of gathering around a blazing campfire to tell stories, their social structures revolved around sunlight. The moment the sun dipped below the horizon, the jungle fell silent, and the tribe retreated into total stealth mode to avoid becoming a leopard's midnight snack. The raw diet, nature's ultimate menu. Without consistent fire to cook, What's for dinner? A whole lot of raw crunching. The fireless tribes became absolute masters of their local ecosystem, knowing exactly which plants, fruits, and insects were safe to consume without heat. They targeted specific seafood, like raw mollusks, and small game that could be easily consumed fresh. Because they couldn't rely on the calorie explosion of cooked food, they had to spend a massive chunk of their day foraging and hunting just to hit their daily energy requirements. It was a grueling, non-stop lifestyle of eating on the go, straight from nature's fridge. The surprising health of the flame-free. You might think eating a purely raw, unheated diet in a tropical jungle would be a one-way ticket to a severe stomach bug. Surprisingly, early medical examinations of these isolated tribes showed they were in spectacular physical condition. They possessed incredibly lean muscular builds, perfect teeth without a single cavity, and robust immune systems adapted to their environment. Because they only ate ultra-fresh catches and wild plants, they completely avoided the processed diseases plaguing modern society. Their bodies adjusted to the raw lifestyle over millennia, proving that humans can be astonishingly resilient even without our favorite evolutionary shortcut. When worlds collide, the first spark. Imagine the absolute mind-melting shock when these tribes finally witnessed modern humans creating fire at will. In the mid-20th century, peaceful contact expeditions brought gifts to the tribes, including matches and lighters. To a person who has spent their entire life guarding a single, dying ember from a lightning strike, a matchstick is nothing short of dark magic. Seeing a human snap their fingers and conjure a bright flame out of thin air completely shattered their worldview. It was a profound, bittersweet moment where thousands of years of isolation instantly dissolved in a single, brilliant flash of light. The legacy of the unchanged. Today, the remaining isolated tribes of the Andaman Islands are strictly protected by law, with the Indian government banning any outside contact to preserve their culture and protect them from modern diseases. They stand as a breathtaking, living mirror to our own ancient past. They remind us that human intelligence isn't just about high-tech gadgets or mastering the elements, it's about our incredible ability to adapt and survive against all odds. They proved that humanity could still thrive in the deep dark, carving out a beautiful existence using nothing but their bare hands and the untamed wild. Conclusion. Ultimately, these fireless tribes challenge everything we thought we knew about human progress. We often measure the success of a civilization by its technology, its buildings, and its power to dominate nature. But these resilient people prove that true human success might actually be measured by how well we can balance and coexist with our environment. They didn't need to conquer the wild with flame because they were already a perfect part of it. So, the next time you look at a flickering fire, remember the people who looked into the deep dark, smiled, and survived anyway. It is absolutely wild to think that while we are busy building artificial intelligence and planning missions to Mars, a small group of humans is still living in perfect harmony with the Earth, just like our ancestors did before the very first spark was ever struck. It really makes you appreciate the simple things, like a warm stove or a cozy campfire. If you found this trip through human history as fascinating as I did, do not forget to smash that subscribe button. Hit the like icon and drop a comment below telling me if you think you could survive a single week in the jungle without fire. See you in the next video!